This is Jesse Damon from Silent Rage, and you're listening to the Nothing Shocking Podcast.
Want to know what's going on in the world of music? Then tune in to the Nothing Shocking Podcast, a non-genre based, all-ages friendly rock and roll program. Join us weekly for interviews with all your favorite rock stars from the mainstream to the underground. You can find us at nothingshocking.libsyn.com or anywhere you download podcasts.
Welcome to the night. You think you know Night Demon? Then the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast is for you. Step into the darkness as we peel back the curtain to give you an unprecedented, all-access look into the mind and the heart of the demon. We're talking band history, song analysis, studio anecdotes, stories from the road. It's everything a diehard Night Demon fan could want and more. This is the only place to learn the inside scoop, the deep dive trivia, the untold tales from the band members themselves and those closest to the Night Demon story. Need more? The sacred Night Demon Crypt will be pried open to reveal demo recordings that have never before seen the light of day, all with in-depth commentary by the band and the people who were there for the writing and recording process. This is a gold mine, a treasure trove of all things Night Demon. Head over to nightdemon.net or wherever you listen to podcasts.
We're putting the band back together.
The numbers all go to 11.
I'm talking about bands that rock. Led Zeppelin. What about Sabbath? AC/DC. Motorhead.
Does that mean it's louder? Is it any louder?
Well, it's one louder, isn't it?
We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
I get up off the ground and raise my head. Days like this, think I should be dead. One for Satan, two for me. Let's cheat the devil, it's fun, don't you agree?
Welcome to the Nothing Shocking Podcast. I'm your co-host, Jeff Untied, and with me in Dog Bowl Studios is
Coach Nez.
You can find the Nothing Shocking Podcast on Libsyn or any pod catchers. Like our Facebook page or follow us on Twitter at NoShockPod.
You could also find the Nothing Shocking Podcast on Rock Rage Radio every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. Central Time. Our sponsor is Ragged Records, located in downtown Rock Island, Illinois, and downtown Davenport, Iowa. We would like to thank the Hong Kong Sleepover for allowing us to use their music for our intro and bumper ending. Tonight's guest is
Jesse Damon, Part 2.
Part 2, promoting his new endeavor with Brothers in Arms with Jack Frost, and also Barnabas Sky.
Marcus Pfeiffer.
Marcus Pfeiffer, yes, that's right. Two kind of like super group project type things. Super cool.
Yeah, and good news was he's hoping for more.
Yeah, I believe they're planning on part 2s for both of them, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what a great interview. It was always good to have Jesse back on the podcast, so let's get to that interview.
All right, good night.
Good night. Jesse, welcome back to the Nothing Shocking Podcast. I'd like to reintroduce you, my co-host, Jeff Untied.
Jesse, welcome back.
Hey, thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it. It's good to be here.
Absolutely. We're excited to have you back. So you've been extremely busy this past year with Brothers in Arms, headed by Jack Frost, and Barnabas Sky, headed by Marcus Pfeiffer. How were you able to balance both endeavors here this past year?
Yeah, well, it happened kind of one first came along, and we started to get that going, which was Brothers in Arms. Jack Frost got a hold of me in late January, and through talking and him sending me things to see if I really wanted to be a part of it, I only had to listen to a couple things and knew I would. So he started to write the song for me. He actually sent me a couple songs, and I liked them. And immediately, after receiving them, my mind started going. And I wrote, on the first song, I wrote maybe at least a strong verse and chorus and was going to, sing it back to him and everything. And I got back to him and he goes, oh, wait a minute. No, don't work on those songs. They're already promised to somebody. But I have a new song in mind that I just wrote, and we're going in to cut it this Thursday, which was probably the first week of February. And so he got it to me, and I worked on it for a few weeks, coming up with the right lyric for it and the melodies. And then I went in around the first or second week of March to Bill Matoyer's studio. And, Bill lives out in North Hollywood, so that's not far from the South Bay for me. Mm-hmm. And it was a pleasure working with him. I've known about him and I've met him a few times, but never worked with him. So at his studio, he was very cordial, very cool, friendly. I loved his style of how he set the mics up and what he gave me to hear back on my playbacks. It just went very smooth.
Oh, fantastic.
Along that same time, when I was in the studio, I got contacted by email first, and then we eventually talked on the phone, but I got contacted by Marcus Pfeiffer in something very similar, a project that he wanted to start. He had a successful project that he did the previous year, which was Lazarus Dream. That's it. And Lazarus Dream had a couple singers on it, and he kind of lent out half the album to one and half to another. But on this new album, he told me, I want to get more voices on there. So, he kind of spilled out the whole game plan and the story and wanted to see if I was interested in doing a song or a couple songs. And I like that, to do a couple songs gets my teeth in it a little bit more. So I ended up signing up for that. And so it kind of went back and forth for a few months. I went through and used Bill to track everything on both projects because it was so smooth. It was great. And my producer, Paul Sabu, was a little further away from me at the time and already into a couple projects he couldn't get to me, at that time. So I didn't want to wait. So, but after it all got going, actually each one of those guys, I was my liaison. And so I basically just talked to them. He would always let me in on info and the updates and who he landed next. And, it was kind of going a vocalist at a time. He had his main band that he had in place, which was Charlie Calv on keys and also Alex Jansen on bass and Carl Wilcox on drums. So that was his main guys. And then he added, after it got a little further in, he landed Dave Amato from REO and Mick Mahan from Pat Benatar to come in and guest appear on guitar and bass. So that's cool,
Yeah. Oh, very much so. I kind of wanted to kind of focus a little bit here on Brothers in Arms. As far as the origins of the project, I don't want you, it's hard for you to speak for Jack, but how were the origins of this project all started? Did kind of Jack give you like a backstory on the mindset of this project?
Yes. Yeah. When he contacted me, he was filling me in on the new project of what he had in mind. And he was, very cool and funny guy and smart. And, but, always made it light, let's have some fun. And, I think this could turn out to be really cool and really great. He says, but I'm looking at this as a band and, we're going to call it Brothers in Arms. So it wasn't just a project, because what he has in mind is for us to go out and do some live dates.
Nice.
And because of the COVID and all that going on, he waited until 2022, and we're thinking of doing a handful, maybe half dozen dates for the West Coast, and then he's going to take it to the East Coast, and the singers will split up. And so on the West Coast, we've got Keith St. John and Andrew Freeman, Paul Shortino, and myself. And on the West Coast, Todd Poole from Roxy Blue and Nick Walsh from Slick Toxic and Steve Overland. Those guys, I don't even know if Overland lives in the United States. I think he's out of England, but I think he's going to come to go be a part of that. So they're going to do their dates. Maybe at some point we might all come together and do a live show or do, a festival or something where we could do that. But one thing that was cool, so he did let us in, Jack let us in on everything that was going to go on. At the time he got a hold of me, he had landed Keith St. John and Andrew Freeman.
Yeah.
And so when he wrote the song for me, he would update me as I was going in the studio and as I was, letting him hear the lyrics and going over all that. And he'd always have, an update, who he landed and who else is on it. And he kept that going throughout the time. And he, I'm going to send you some mixes now. Let me know what you think and all that stuff. And give me any ideas you have. So he's very, everything on the table and really open to suggestion. But he was saying that, the band he put together is going to be the composition of the players, and then the vocalists will have their way with singing the songs and writing their own lyrics and melodies. So it was very cool.
So awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's something that's kind of different. I mean, I've done other situations where I've gone out and filled in, or I've gone out and sat in. I've been asked to do a song here and there, but it's been a while. And, it was usually me going into a band situation where the band was already together. They just had me come on and guest on it. So this was kind of fun to have. One thing he did recently, last month in November, we did the Don Jameson show. And he had us all on, most of us were on Zoom, but he had Jack in the studio and he had Charlie and maybe one other person and himself. They were in some studio in New Jersey. So that was kind of a fun time. I did get to meet everybody, and talk before it. And then, we're all in some Zoom green room talking a bit too. But, funny stories. Some of these guys are really funny and, they're all great guys. I do know a couple of them. I mean, I've played on the same bills with Paul Shortino and probably Keith St. John. I've gone to see Andrew many times play, from all of his things.
Oh, so cool.
Yeah. He just recently, he came and opened for, he filled in for
CJ Snare with Firehouse.
Yeah, with Firehouse.
Yeah.
Nice.
He was sick, and so he just jumped in and did the whole show, and it was awesome.
It was awesome.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about before we talk about your song "Voices Are Calling." I was reading kind of like you were talking about where other singers would come in and perform. Is there another song that from the album that would be something like if we did live and that singer didn't show up, that you'd want to jump in and tackle that song?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I probably will have to do that. We were talking about that. What I'll probably end up doing is, besides the Voices Are Calling, I haven't decided which one. I have to listen to them, and we have to get together on, who would suit, the song best. But you can kind of listen through them, and I know which ones I like, and I know which ones that I can, sing strong and that kind of thing. A lot of these guys are wailers, though. I mean, some of them are really high tenors. Some of them are, that got that character, just cool voice. So, I mean, if need be, I probably could sing any of them, but some suit the original singer's the best. Also, he wants us to, throw in an original, like I'll do a Silent Rage song,
nice.
Maybe a Jesse song, and then probably 2 or 3 off the album, because I think we're a little, just a few people short of the East Coast dates they would do. I think there's more singers out there, so it would be the 4 of us, maybe 5 of us. So I would probably end up taking maybe 2 songs from Brothers in Arms, but I haven't chosen any yet. I do like, it's Andrew's first song called Last to Know.
Yes,
I really like that song.
Yeah.
but he'll be doing that. Keith St. John did a great job on Bitch is Crazy. Very 80s, very tongue-in-cheek. This looked like a video right out of MTV era. So
cool. I guess, when it comes to the co-writing process with Jack, with this, in the collaboration, working with him, how does the songwriting work with the both of you? How does it work? What's the dynamic in it?
Well, this is what's kind of different and special that's been done before, but many times probably. But he said, we've got the music covered. We're writing and composing the music only. Once you hear it, however it inspires you to write, however that's the music makes you feel, write lyrics that fit that. It's going to be your song. You'll be, you'll get the writers as far as lyrics and that. But so we just split it 50-50. And,
so awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool to have that kind of leeway and be able to do that. And I thought that's a great bait to land us all, because he's given us so much levity to just do that. It's fun.
Magnificent.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little more about the inspiration behind Voices Are Calling?
Voices Are Calling is kind of it's a dark song in a way. It's got that kind of scary feel. I thought it was kind of a soundtrack sounding song, in the sense like a horror movie. It could fit into that. And in fact, there was talk for that song to be placed in a movie he had mentioned. So I thought, well, I gotta make it around that, So I had a storyline that was written down a little bit, but not in lyric form. And I went back to that, and I kept what I could, but I made it new. And it was kind of a guy that, was dealing with some kind of voices he's hearing, and I wasn't saying he was sick, but something came about in the dark. Something either came at him, or while he was sleeping, he woke up and he's, what's going on? And so it was a thing where he was frightened and he needed to get away. He needed help. He needed somebody to be there and explain to him what the hell's going on. And so it's kind of, self-explanative, explained, when you read the lyrics. So, like I said, I just wanted it to be moody and dark, scary.
Oh, awesome.
So, nice.
Well, you kind of touched upon this as far as, the recruitment process. I guess you can only speak for yourself how Jack proposed you to join this project, but he's got some heavy hitters on here.
Yeah.
I guess what's the sales pitch? How does he get all this talent to come work for him?
Well, for one thing, we all know each other in the sense of we know Jack, and so that's the common denominator. And a lot of them are even longtime close friends. And there's a respect factor big time for what he's done and, what he's currently doing. And, he's the new Aldo Nova lead guitarist. So he's out with Aldo and doing that, having a fun time, playing some good dates. And that's inspiring. But what happened was he told me during the lockdown, he started to jam and he started coming up with ideas, and he says, God, some of these ideas are, they're not so metal. They're like a mishmash almost of melodic rock meets hard rock meets metal. And I have something here, so he went in with his buds, Alex Jansen and Carl Wilcox, and he went at them and asked them, but when they went into the studio to cut it, it had flavors of all those. And I think Voices Are Calling is kind of a flavor of like a hard rock meets the metal sound, which you used to do in the dark sense, like I was saying. And then my ability to interject, although it's minor scale or it's dark, it's a darker composition. I tried to, sing it melodically because that's my shtick, that's what I do.
Oh, so cool.
But but he was the one that, started off trying to go in and record. And as that turned out well, he said, well, I can't sing this, and none of these guys I'm jamming with can sing it. I got to find some singers. So he just he started with Keith St. John and Andrew, and then he started to ask a few others, and he got to me. He told me, he said, I'd really like you to be involved in this project because I'm trying to pick singers I really like. And I've always, liked Silent Rage as well as your solo stuff, and I love your voice, so that's kind of what he was basing it on. People he liked that he wanted to work with. And he also said to me, God, if you ever need me and, your solo stuff, or you're going out playing some shows, or you're playing, you need me, I'm there for you. So it's
nice.
Really good, feeling situation. So
that's awesome.
So do you see this as a project continuing on to maybe another effort to record another album?
Yes, I believe that we'll have a second release, and he has not got back to me with any new material that has been recorded, but we talked about it, and even he let the cat out of the bag that he really does want to do another, and he wants to bring back all the same vocalists.
Awesome. He
feels he wants to strengthen this. There's a chance somebody bow out, or somebody is just too busy and they have something, but I would figure that everybody would come back to this because everybody talked it up in the interview with Don, and he had a lot of good questions, and we just kind of talked about how well we love being in this situation and doing this kind of process. I know a lot of those guys are busy with so many different projects.
Yes.
I don't know how that sometimes really clutters you, and it's hard to try and do everything at once. So you kind of have to set aside the calendar in the year to do stuff. But that sounds like fun. I can't wait till I hear something from Jack again. He'll send me something probably, hopefully in the first quarter.
Well, a few years ago, I think it was about 4 or 5 years ago, I got to see Diamond Head play here live, and Carl Wilcox was on, obviously on drums for him. And it just makes me wonder, that guy is such a beast on the drums. I wonder how many drum skins he breaks on a tour.
Oh, I know.
The guy's a monster.
Sticks, drum skins, cymbals, them all, probably.
Absolute monster. Let's move on to Barnabas Sky.
Yeah.
It's another all-star project led by Marcus Pfeiffer. And how did Marcus approach you about participating in this project?
Okay, it was similar to the last project, but what happened was he emailed me and described what he was doing. And it's a little bit different from his Lazarus Dream first project, because he had been in a couple other bands and made his mark from Germany being in these bands. And I'm sorry, I can't remember their names offhand, but I'd heard of them. I just can't, too much stuff on my mind. But he said, I've got a new set. He first had me listen to Lazarus Dreams, and there was a couple vocals on that. And now he wanted to split off and get more singers. And like Jack Frost, Marcus knows a lot of singers, European, as well as, his list of, Danny Vaughan and Zach Stevens, Rob Brock, Steve Grimmett, Danny Martinez, they're from all over the place. So he knows about them, and he asked them because he liked them. So it makes sense that that's a big denominator and common denominator of going after guys that you really like.
Let's just kind of talk about Barnabas Sky and the origins of it, and how did Marcus approach you?
Okay, well, Marcus wrote to me by email to first initially get in contact with me, and he laid it out a little bit, but when I called him, we talked a little more about it, and he initially had the songs written, and he thought of me. So I didn't have that stumble like I did with Jack, the first couple of things I heard, and all of a sudden I thought I was doing them. No, the ones that he sent me, and he actually took his time. He sent one, which was the ballad. Yeah. He said, I wrote this ballad, and I really thought of you as a singer on it. and that was part of his pitch. So I listened to it and really fell for it. It was really nice. So I had, because of the COVID and pandemic and, the flu and everybody's getting affected by it. And, not to mention what's going on in the world and in the sense of fires and storms and floods.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We have a lot of heroes on this planet, and they might not be the kind that wear capes, but they're the kind that might wear helmets and
mm-hmm.
jackets and holding, like a fireman and first responders and police and, people who help feed people, take care of the homeless. And so that is what I kind of based it on. And then talking with the director for the video, once I eventually did it, Chris Etches is the video director, and he'd already thought of a few things that I threw at him. He says, yeah, I'm going to find some footage that goes along with your lyrics because the lyrics, paint a good story. So it really turned out great. I did, we're talking about the video for a second. I did my footage done with Scott Segrin, who is DP, and he's also the cameraman that shot it, and he's my nephew. So we went all around Hollywood, and then we were in a studio in Redondo Beach shooting some footage in a studio. So, but as far as taking it further, we started with Till the End of Time, and then after I finished and how it turned out, he really loved it, and then he offered me the second song, which I turned it into the song called Youngblood.
Yeah.
So that was another great song, upbeat rocker, and kind of turned it into like a medieval, conqueror, a guy who's
mm-hmm.
always fighting off the enemies, and so I made a little bit of a correlation of the two. But the name of the album is Inspiration, so I thought that was a pretty good album title because
mm-hmm.
We were all inspired on this album to write what we felt we heard. So.
Oh, so cool.
Yeah, on there, the Till the End of Time track is on there twice as the closer in a slightly different form with piano. Can you talk a little bit about the making of that track?
Yeah, that was Marcus's little brainchild. He had different mixes, and he was starting to fall in love with them and going, I like this one because it's the original and it was my original vision. But then when I started playing with it and I dropped some things, I really liked the piano version. It was just a little different feel.
Yes. And
so he says, I'm going to have it, almost like a remix or a
reprise.
Not an unplugged or, a naked version because it was full band still, but just a different thing where he thought, it was worth a second listen.
Yeah.
Well, I guess maybe, since you can kind of compare and contrast the two projects that you've been a part of here this past year. Since Marcus is located in Germany and the rest of the musicians are spread across all over the world, it really doesn't mean anything anymore with the beauty of the internet. But can you kind of compare and contrast the efficiency of working here directly in the United States with the project Brothers in Arms opposed to a project that's all over the world and you have to pretty much email and Dropbox everything?
Right. Well, it was enjoyable for the most part. I love, I love the process of being a musician and being an artist, from the start of writing and then taking it in and recording it and then, getting signed and getting it out there, making
mm-hmm.
some kind of that inroad and then going out and playing live. So all of that to me is actually, each one is fun in its process, but it all kind of wraps into one. That's what you do. That's how you have. There are some guys that just are recording artists and they don't go and perform live. And there are some great players who are guns for hired or they just want to play live,
Mm-hmm.
So that's fine. But to each his own. And for me, I like to do all of them. So one thing about Barnabas Sky, I talked with Marcus, and for right now, he's not thinking of taking this live. But there's a chance, if I'm over in Germany, I was asked to play a few dates in the future there. If I'm there, and I'll get him to come, and we'll do a couple songs together, do those two, and have him come out as a guest guitar player, and he's a phenomenal player too. I couldn't have asked for a better guitarist that lead a project than Jack and Marcus. So
fantastic. As far as where's the headspace? Where's Marcus's headspace at? Or in accordance to progressing with more albums in the future? Is this a one-off project, or can you kind of see this kind of evolving as time goes by?
Actually, it is evolving, and he's already sent me some songs. Nice. So his album just came out November 17th, and the Barnabas Sky Inspirations, and he is such a faucet writer. I mean, he's always flowing with ideas. So I'm glad he made the decision. He wanted to do a follow-up album. I think part of it, he started to do at least a couple videos for each project, and I landed till the end of time, and within a month or 3 weeks, it had 35,000 hits. So it was starting to take off and get some notice, and with that happening, it's inspiring. It makes you want to keep going. So I was happy to hear that, and he's sent me 3 songs. So I'm not sure I'll do all 3. I definitely like 2 of them really well. One song is a long song, and I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet. I would like to do it, but it's about a 7-minute song.
Oh, wow.
Maybe 8 minutes. And it's a lot of lyrics to write,
Yeah.
I've got full reign to do whatever I want with it, but,
you could
just drop in a little opera section right here. And then,
yeah, exactly. I mean, he is saying, well, this one has got a chorus, and then right after the chorus, it goes into a beat chorus. And I said, well, you're going to have to break that up for me and show me exactly, because, it's the interpretation of how I listen to it and where I think, sometimes it's very blatant. You hear the beat, the first verse or the intro of the song, and then the first verse, and like a B verse before the chorus, and then the chorus, and then either a reintro or right into the next second verse. That's common writing. There are other different styles, but for this one, and it being so long, he's got so many musical parts. It's like a Ben-Hur. It's an epic, So it's challenging, and I like it for that reason. But these other 2 songs, I don't want to give away too much, because I think I'm going to do them, and I don't think he wants me to talk about, the particulars.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, let's switch gears on you. Jeff, you got one more question here?
No, we're going to switch.
Okay. You are working on new Jesse Damon solo material, and what can we expect from you as far as your solo work goes here in, I guess, 2022?
Yeah.
Well, what's going to happen is I have picked the studio to go in. It's Total Access Studio in Redondo Beach, and that's owned by Wynn Davis, and Wynn has been on a lot of productions, and has done Dio out of there, and Dawkins, and just so many great artists. And so I know his stepson, who was in the band with me in my solo band a while back. He's a phenom, GIT graduate, and great guitarist in his own right, and has gone on to do a lot of other things, but now he's also got on his plate to be an engineer and a producer in Wynn's studio. So, because Wynn's, kind of stepping back, letting him get his feet wet, which is Steve Ornest. So I like the fact that I'm going to change it up and do a song there. And I'm also thinking Silent Rage will go and do a couple songs in there. And the update for us to come out with something with Golden Robot Records from Australia, it just got pushed back a little because pandemic and how it hit them really hard. Our plan for that is for us to come out with a full vinyl bundle of our back catalog.
Oh, so
for,
cool.
For Silent Rage. So, and a new album, which is going to be a collaboration of a couple new singles. It's going to be a couple songs that are already recorded but never released.
Oh, cool.
And it's going to have a couple, hopefully, live tracks that we'll pick out. And possibly, yeah, that's about it. Putting that kind of together. I know the last one was Demo that really turned out well, and it's just kind of raw, but it's like the first evolution of the song. And then so you hear that, and you can hear the original, and you see how it evolved. But some of them turned out really good. So, but they initially, turned out a little different once we finished it for the album. And I'm planning on trying to get in there within the maybe early February, maybe at the earliest the second half of January.
You stole my last question of the night about the Silent Rage stuff. God, you spilled the beans too early.
Well, that's okay. I've talked with the guys, and they're excited. I have a few songs I've written that we can, toss around ideas and get them involved, and have them do their shtick, and so it becomes a flavor of everything, like it always has. I can't let out too much more than that, but because I always want it to be kind of a surprise.
Sure. Yeah. You got me really surprised. I mean, really surprised and really excited all at the same time right now. So
yeah, yeah. And I had a chance actually this month to start on some of it, but it's a very busy time, when you're talking about the holidays and things going on and distractions. And people wanting to see you, and it's like when you tell them, "Well, I'm in the studio and I can't make that," or they're saying, "Man, you got all year to do that. Can't you come?" Right? So once in a while, you put yourself in a better position and have a start time. The starting block needs to be in an open, fresh time where you can focus.
Yeah, but like how it works in anything is like when it rains, it pours.
Yeah,
You're right. Yeah.
Jeff,
I'm one not to try to back off. I try to fit it in, and then I'm like, oh my God, I need a break.
You got a lot going on. It sounds like you're going to be busy. You're going to take a little break here with the holidays coming up. What do you have a Christmas tradition or holiday tradition that?
Well, we have my family got together already because we're split up and we all have other in-law families, and so we open up the calendar around Thanksgiving and say when do you want to have a get together to sit around and tell new stories and tell new jokes and eat a lot. And so I did that about a week ago with my family, and then my wife's got her family, and we get together on traditionally on Christmas Eve for them. And so I've worked that out, but I see them. I see my brothers. I have two brothers and my mom. My dad passed, but my mom's alive, and so I see them pretty often. So,
oh, so cool. Well, I guess that concludes tonight's part two, since you took my last question.
Sorry about that, Chief, but maybe I can let you ask and not jump into early on the next session.
Well, let's make a deal then. Oh, hey, we'll do a part three when that new Silent Rage material comes out, because I am so pumped up for that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we really enjoyed having you on.
Yeah, it's been a blast.
Thank you, guys. You guys are very cool and appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, like about 3 weeks, and you have a happy holiday and a Merry Christmas.
All right, you too, guys.
Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
eyes the stone and makes their own mistakes. Hide in the headlights, fight the grip of fear. You can make your dreams come true, but you just can't do it here. Hey. Everybody eyes the gun and screams inside their head. Everybody bites their tongue and pays their bills instead. Hide in the spotlights, fight the grip of death. You can have the air you need, but you best not take one breath. Hey. Roll the dice. Take your chances. Everybody knows the game is fixed, there is no prize. Everybody pulls the plug and says their last goodbyes. Move to the sunshine, fight the grip of nights. If they ever